Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all had a good lunch. And if you heard before, my lunch today was leftovers, so it was all good. This afternoon, we're going to have how do you get data from the Census Bureau? Their primary tool is Data.Census.Gov, and we have with us KaNin Reese, who is with the Dissemination Outreach Branch, and she's presented. I think, KaNin, you've done the last 4 data users conferences with New Mexico, so she's been with us before. And she certainly has been a primary person for a lot of us who work with the census data dissemination tools and with the development of Data.Census.Gov since, I guess you said, about 2005, where she's listened to our issues as data users and then gone back to the team at Census Bureau who's developing Data.Census.Gov and been key in evolving that product to be more user-friendly for us. So without further ado, here's KaNin. Thank you, KaNin.
Hey, Susan, appreciate it. Well, I appreciate having you. Thank you for having me. I'm always excited to show you all the latest with Data.Census.Gov. And actually, let me go ahead and share my screen really quickly, and we'll kind of get started. Let me go ahead and stop. I know sometimes we've had issues with the videos and trying to think, so I'll shut my video and turn it back later. But very quickly, let me show you our basis. So many of you have probably seen a presentation of Data.Census.Gov, but some of you may haven't. I think most people have done at least a little dabbling. If I know Susan, she's really dug down deep and answers a lot of questions. So starting out just kind of basic, wanted to let you know how we're using the site and kind of some easy ways of jumping in, but then also kind of going into more advanced things. So this looks like a lot, but we'll kind of run through it quickly. But just wanted to show you, we're going to just start with basically using the single search bar, moving on to advanced searches, which is just a fancy way of saying our faceted filters, which is our drop downs, this filters experience. And then kind of sometimes you can use both the single and the advanced search. And then going into things that I find really exciting when you start, comparing things across time and geographies, when you're able to map things, those kinds of things are nice that we can do on the site. I wanted to show you about. Then looking at some NAICS data, which is, finding our business data using searching by industry. And then wanted to show you Microdata Access. Now, what this is just a tool to create custom tabulations for our public use microdata files. Now, this is not something that everybody's going to use. Most people are going to look and they're going to find the data that they need in our pre-tabulated tables that are on Data.Census.Gov. But just in case you don't, giving you an example of females with an income of $40,000 or more in the United States, that $40,000 or more is kind of an interesting cutoff. We don't have that tabulated, so showing you how to create our own tabulations and really kind of what Microdata Access is. And then finally, I'm going to show you our new navigational changes. So as you know, the site is still developing. We're using an agile software development practice where we've gathered requirements and then we have short bursts of development, then send it out to the public, tell us what you think. So that's why we're always kind of asking for feedback. What do you think? Are we hitting the mark? What are you still looking for? Those types of things. So for the past year, we've heard a lot of things about our navigations, things they like, things they don't like, mainly things they don't like, let's be honest. So we've spent some time and done and made some changes to how you go through that filtering experience, kind of exposing some of those filters to understand how we're categorizing your searches. And wanted to show you that is going to be available tomorrow. And so I'll kind of go back to some of these examples and show you on the new site how it might be. But as always, please send any questions you have in the chat. I know Susan will be monitoring it. My colleague Jessica will be monitoring too. So if there's some quick answers that she can give you, she'll be able to do that. So from here, this is definitely going to be a back and forth. So please apologize if it's a little clunky. So I want to be able to show you kind of a live demonstration as much as I can using these examples. So first one is just getting basically started on the site using the single search bar. And we're just going to use a basic 2020 decennial census tables. We're looking at Carlsbad, New Mexico, and also the geographic profile. So all that, let me just show you where we go from here. All right. And pull up the site. Okay. So this is our main site at Data.Census.Gov. There's a couple of extra things I just want to get out of the way and tell you about. We now have official government drop down, something that's new to the government. So just kind of be aware, knowing when something is official or not. So that's part right here. And we also have a series of possible banners that can be put up. We had banners put up when the 1-year ACS weren't available. And then we have one now to let you know that the experimental estimates that were created through the 2020 ACS 1 year are now available on this experimental data webpage, but they are not available on Data.Census.Gov. So just showing you what these banners mean, and then you can always keep them there, or you can go ahead and X them out, whichever you like to do. So from our main page, when I talked about there was 2 ways to doing from a single search or an advanced search, this is what I mean. It's kind of your first questions you have to do. So we definitely focus in on that single search bar, but please don't forget that there's also this advanced search. So there is 2 different ways to do it, but we're going to look at single search. So we were talking about Carlsbad, New Mexico, and we can click enter, and this is what comes up from here. So the first thing that you see are the all results page. And it gives you a couple of options that you can do. So the first thing is that we don't exactly know what you want. We just said a geography. So we're pulling back a total population estimates for Carlsbad, New Mexico. And then we're giving you a series of tables that are possibility. Look at here, there's 2,809 because we don't know exactly what you're looking for. Then you can go to kind of the similar things with maps, all the way down to pages. It's available, and these pages actually hit back to Census.Gov and things like Quick Facts, which is a Census.Gov tool that's available. Very similar to that tool is our profile. So on this far right-hand side, it's a big blue box. And if you click on it, let me show you what it shows. So from here, it just gives you some high-level basic estimates of a geography that you chose. So in this case, Carlsbad, New Mexico, and it's pulling out the population, median income, education, kind of from households all the way down to Hispanic or Latino. Where possible, we've included 2020 redistricting data, things that are the latest ACS as needed. So it's trying to just hit at that, not one survey, but across the board, what's the best estimate to give you. You can scroll down and look at some basic numbers. This has mimicked what was in Quick Facts, which is just a table display, but trying to do more of a visualization and trying to hit at what some other people have asked us for. Some more novice users have asked for things that were more basic and friendly, more visualizations or charts, knowing that we obviously need to continue showing you all of our tables and then ways to download and, get kind of bulk downloads from there. But just showing you different things. You can go to the side panel and pull up some data that's available, and it'll kind of jump to those different areas. This one flips down to health. So just different ways to show you. And then when things are not available, it's not coming up. So just showing you those things that are available. Always can go back to the single search. We also talked about doing like 2020 census. And then you can also do Carlsbad, and you pull up the 6 tables, and these 6 tables are actually the redistricting tables. We didn't specifically ask for redistricting, but that is the only it's only a thing that's available for 2020 census right now, so those are going to come up this way. So just some basic searches are the best way of handling is basic, maybe one topic, one geography. Some of those things are great ways to do quick wins with a single search bar. So that's what I wanted to show you first off. I'm going to switch back over here. Actually, probably better not to do the full the full screen, but hopefully this is enough for y'all to see. So the second thing we wanted to talk about was using advanced search. And again, advanced search is just that way of just talking about the faceted filters or those drop-down selections that you can make. So for this, we want to focus on 2020 redistricting data for all counties in New Mexico. So I'm going to go over here, click back over here. I'm going to clear my search for what's been in here. So I'm just going to click this logo right here, click on this. And then when I'm on the main page, I'm going to click on advanced search. And this is going to take you to my options for the drop downs. So for this filters, we wanted to see redistricting data. I'll try to remember again. Okay, 2020 redistricting data, all counties in New Mexico. So I'm going to start by choosing surveys. So I know that the decennial census is not a survey. It's considered a program. It's 100% population count. But what this is that it just shows you what of our programs and surveys are available. I choose decennial census. And if you look, there's a lot of different options. And that's because I haven't said just 2020. You know, when we searched before, it was 2020 redistricting. So it really kind of limited everything. I can definitely go in here and add a year to this. Or I can go in and just scroll down, find my redistricting data that's PL 94-171. And when I click on this, checkbox, it populates it down in the filters right here. So that's when I know that it's actually been registered and accounted for, is when you click this box. All right, so now I'm going to go to geography. And we wanted all counties in New Mexico. So I'm going to see counties right here. You can always click on the summary level. If you have used census data for years and years and years, you might be more comfortable going through, knowing that 050 is the county level data. But some people don't know. So we're giving people an option of just getting the best summary level that's available for county this way. So scroll down to New Mexico. And then at the top here, I have all the list of the counties that are available. But if you look, there's one that at the top that's called all counties within New Mexico. And that's what I'd like to have. So I'm going to click on this one. You see down here that it's populated, all counties within New Mexico. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a search. Now, if you see, I can scroll down, and before we only had 6 tables for redistricting, and now we have 10. And that's because the 2000 tables have been included before, included in this, and they are not the same table IDs as what's available for 2020. So that's this is what's available. Looking at things like race, which is P1. And then I can pull up the table, and it looks very similar to the tables that are produced most of the time within decennial data. You go over, what I'm looking for is like an American Indian, Alaska Native alone. I can see that, and I can scroll over, see all of the data, all of the counties that are available, and then go from there. I can also kind of do more perusing and looking through. Here's Hispanic or Latino at P2. Go in, and that gives me my basic Hispanic or Latino count from the decennial census. And then it shows other further breakdowns by not Hispanic within population, 1 race, 2 races, others like that. So that gives us a basic idea of what P1 and P2 are available and all of the other decennial tables that are. So from here, we've shown you just the basis of advanced search. Now I'm going to look at kind of doing a combination of the two. So we looked in and we saw P1 and P2 were very popular tables. They're the race and Hispanic origin tables. And so I'd like to focus on P1 and P2. So a lot of people know their table IDs. So those people, please don't be concerned. You're welcome to know your table IDs and put them in. But if you don't know them, that's just fine too. You can go ahead and, one second, please, sorry. You can go ahead and just go through the way that we did, going in, trying to look for redistricting data or something like that. But like I said, if you do know your table ID, please use them. That's a great way to use the single search bar. And then I'll show you how to kind of drill down using the advanced search to find, in the maps, to find a block in Sandoval County. So I like this very much because so many times, let's go ahead and clear using the logo. So many times people talk about your tract or your block, and that's all fine and good, but there are very few people, including people that work at the Census Bureau in our geography area, that don't necessarily know what their block is. And so it's really great to have a map that you can go down and use as a reference for this type of thing. So since I like the tables P1 and P2, I'm going to search on those. So I'm just going to press enter. And if you see the two tables came up here, I could go and look at those tables and then further drill down using advanced search or the filters. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the map up. So using the map, right now, we have no idea what you're looking for. It just says P1 or P2. But I'm going to use this geography drop down. So I'm going to scroll down to block because I want to find my block, but I want to use, here we go, census block. So I click on that and it allow it to populate. And it is now has the layers for block. So from here, I'm going to actually scroll out because if you notice, we're in Kansas. So let me move over to New Mexico. I'm going to scroll in. We know we're interested in Sandoval County. So I'm going to come in and scroll up. There it is. There's Sandoval. And then from here, I can scroll over and look and try to use some of these reference maps. With the base map, if this light map doesn't help, you can always use the street map here. That might just help a little bit. At least you can find out where the parks are and that type of thing. But from here, I can kind of scroll down in, oops, the other way. Scroll down in, and I can use these reference areas to help me figure out where I'm supposed to be, where I'm looking at. Sometimes you need to do it a little bit more till it finally comes up. And from here, you can look down, scrolling in a little bit more. Now I see the Rio Rancho Sports Complex. That's great. That's where I live close to. And then I can see some of these changes. So here's Bay Hill Loop, Augusta Drive. So this helps me to know that this red number is 107.14 is a track. And I'm looking at 2019. And so I'm going to go ahead and select that as my track. So this is just kind of a random place to show you. Just this is a nice way of trying to figure out. And then from here, you could go ahead and do a selector of several more, or you can go ahead, deselect them, or you could do a filter where you're kind of doing a combination of it. And we looked and it was 107.14, and then we have 2019. So I can just click here to this filter, go to the geography, choose block, and just do a drill down this way. Now that I know which some of my areas are, I'll go to Sandoval County, and then I know it was 107. And then since I can't remember anything anymore, 107.14. So I'll go back to the filter. It comes back up. So I see 107.4. I'm going to have this tracks come up. And then I'm going to see which we'll see. Here's 2007, maybe this is the one. And then you'll notice that sometimes there's the same numbers repeated, and that's because there's been some amount of a change within the layers between the decennial years. We can look to 2019. I want to get, here's the 2019 that's been selected. I'm going to go ahead and do 2020. So such a great year for everybody. And then go ahead and be done with that. And I actually noticed that I added another one over here, 107. So I can just go ahead and deselect it or keep it if I wanted to. Interestingly enough, it doesn't, 2000 doesn't include, it's not adjoining to 2019. And so it's really 2016. So that's nice ways I can look. I can go in and deselect if this is the one that I did not want, and just different ways that you can select and play with it, as well as choosing the selector and then maybe pulling in several things however you'd like to. So just different ways that you can look at it and find some things. I then like to go to the table. You would have to then choose. Right now, it's just a reference map, but by turning, you can turn it into a thematic map by just choosing one of the tables, and then it populates. And then up here at the top where it says total, it's this drop down. This allows for each of the values of the table to be shown. So I'm using a Hispanic or Latino table of P2. I'm going to just choose total Hispanic or Latino, have that available, look at different areas that come up, what areas have moved. We talked about those, the different parts that have moved between 2010 and 2020. So you see there's a slight adjustment when you moved it, but nice ways of being able to have some sort of context between the two and what's available. Always go back to tables if you're interested in just seeing the actual tables that are available based on what you chose. You can see all these extra tables that we chose based on that one that's around us. So from here, we can go in and customize. And maybe we want to hide some of the tables. Some of the tables were not exactly what we wanted. Maybe we just wanted 2019 and 2018, however you want to do it, adding them back. Lots of things like notes are available here. You can go in and add different geographies, pulling up the filter panel kind of the same way we did it. And then also, crazy things like transposing, which it looks crazy, but you're always welcome to do it. And then restoring and adding those things back. So nice ways to add that and have that available. One other thing, once you have gone to the trouble of getting all of these different blocks, you want to be able to change and move and do different table IDs, however you want to do it. The best way is just to go ahead and save by just copying and pasting the URL at the top. That will keep the tables that you chose, but it'll also keep the geographies that you chose, which is a really nice way of being able to go in and then kind of make some edits, maybe change the table, or you could go in and add a geography or anything, but at least it keeps you in that base from there. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to show you, if I went ahead and just wanted a couple of these, show you how to print. This is a nice way of just having a short, small, a small table to go in and print. Our print is still in the works. We definitely haven't mastered the print as of right now. Right now, it really only prints one table. So always nice to go in and do settings if you need to. If you always need help, we can help you try to figure out a table and how it's done. But sometimes if you just move it around, you can get there. We know that people still need fully qualified information from here. So just know that it is available. It's just something that's still in the works. In a minute, I'll show you some better options, and that's download in Excel. All right, so I think we did all of that, and I think I'm just going to clear that out, and then I'm going to go to my next example. All right. So now I'm just going to use the advanced search, comparing data across time and geographies. So for our example, it's going to be Hispanic or Latino for all census tracts in San Juan County. So back to Data.Census.Gov I go. And I'm just going to go ahead and just bypass the single search and use advanced search. If you look over here, we talked about, so we want all tracks for Hispanic or Latino. So I'm actually going to start with the topic. So Hispanic or Latino is part of race and ethnicity. So I'm going to click on topics and I see all these different possibilities and I look through. Best suggestion I can give you is just familiarize yourself a little bit with the topics. Sometimes I always use the example of employment and commuting. People don't necessarily think of commuting as being an employment variable, but it is. And then things like people and population, what's underneath it. Some other things like race and ethnicity should maybe be in, or education, and it's not. It's been pulled up to a higher level. So always a good idea to just give it a look. So I'm looking at race and ethnicity. I'm going to show you a couple of things. This race and ethnicity panel has been condensed into several panels from American Fact Finder, if you're familiar with that. They actually had separate panels for the race iterated table, which is taking the population of a select population group and then the characteristics of just that population, as opposed to the distribution of race, or the basic races in a geography. So definitely a little bit different thoughts. So what we would like is a distribution. So I'm going to click on Hispanic or Latino. We talked about it doesn't populate down here to selected filters until you click a checkbox. So I'm going to click here for the Hispanic or Latino. But just know, and that's what I want, but know if I was looking for the characteristics of a certain Hispanic or Latino population, I could drill down by doing the detailed Hispanic or Latino, and then look, here's Mexican or Puerto Rican, and once you click that, those tables will then come back as the characteristics of the Puerto Rican population. So just showing you the differences. I went ahead and took that out. So we just want the distribution of the Hispanic or Latino for all tracts in San Juan. So next I'm going to geography. I'm going to go down to track. Click on track. And then I just do my drill down based on going to New Mexico. And then I scroll down to San Juan. And then I'm going to use this, the quick and easy all collection. It's the collection drop down selection right here of the all census tracts within San Juan County. With the Census 2020 release of redistricting data, we spend a lot of time making sure we have added more of these collections of geography kind of roll-ups so that you don't have to individually select everything. Definitely don't have everything, and we're still, a work in progress, but hopefully you'll see a difference in some of those that have been that are now available. So we have our Hispanic or Latino topic, and then we have all census tracts within San Juan County, and then I'm going to do my search. And here I can go to a table, but I'm going to go to the map. So I'm going to click on the map. It actually does populate San Juan because I've actually chosen a geography. Remember before we just did P1 or P2, so didn't really know where to go. And then here it is the reference map. That's why it doesn't show any data. You have to go in and choose a table. So I'm going to go in and choose P2, Hispanic or Latino. And you see that it populates. Now remember, it's just populating with that first line. We have to do this drop down on the top left and choose which of the values that we want. I'm going to use the total Hispanic or Latino and click on that. And I see the different distributions from there. I can go in and make different changes going to 2020. 2010. I can go in and go back to 2020. I can go in and use this button for customize map. And if you see on the left-hand side, it gives a cog where you can change the palette or the data classes or the classifications if you're interested in. I personally like this button for view table. Now, it's not going to take you to that main table. It's going to take you to the table that we just created by choosing all tracks with one estimate. So that's really nice. If people remember the geographic comparison tables and American Fact Finder, this kind of mimics it. And you do have the option to go back to the full table. And then the same thing, the notes are available. You can change your base maps if you're interested in doing that. So, and you can also do different selectors from here, like we talked about before. So from here, I'm actually going to go back to the table and show you how to download this. So you need to go in and customize. So click on the customize and you can see all the iconography that's available. Now, what I'm going to show you is the difference between the two, the download and the Excel. So when you click on download, you get the option of choosing a couple of things. For 2020, there's only one option right now for redistricting, but you can also choose for 2010, which is nice. And I'm going to go ahead and download. Now, based on your browser, it might come up a little bit different, but it's saying download now. Mine opens up over here. So I'm using Edge. Definitely recommend Chrome or Edge when you're using Data.Census.Gov. And then at the top, I'm looking at 2010. I'm going to go ahead and choose the 2021 with overlays to show you what the download looks like. Now, this download is a CSV flat file, which means that the fully qualified estimate is on each line. So each line is one geography. Now, this is absolutely ideal if you're using the data to, to do any kind of data manipulation or to run through your computer to do further analysis. But if you're just trying to show this to your colleague and show them the different Hispanic or Latino counts from the census by track, it may not be the ideal way of showing that. So just showing you that this is available for here, and it's called download. But if you go over, so if you go over, click on this done, I can click the Excel button and export to Excel. And this gives me an export, which is more table display like. So I'm waiting for this to come up. And here we go. So it has kind of the fully qualified first page. And then the second on this tab gives you the data. And what many people are maybe more used to seeing just visually wise, but definitely the download allows you to do the manipulation if necessary. So just giving you the differences, both are definitely equally important. We just need to know which is which, right? Okay, so I'm going to shut this down. Oh, and I wanted to show you one last thing on that page is this more data option. So since we are using, and you can continue to the site, since we are using the redistricting data, it did come out in the FTP site. We do have a connection to that FTP site. If you'd like to go in and have the ASCII data, you could download it yourself. It's also on our API to use from there, but whichever way you'd like, it's a nice way of having the different connections to all of the different kind of data sources and outlets available is really what we're trying to head towards. All right, I'm gonna clear this out, and then I'm gonna go to my business example. Oh, excuse me, hold on 1 second. All right, so our example is we're looking for economic data in the healthcare and social assistant industry by zip code in New Mexico. So I'm gonna go over here. And I'm going to go ahead with looking for NAICS codes. Always use the advanced search. It just makes your life a little bit easier. especially since a lot of these NAICS codes are the same 5 digits as zip codes. So there can be some search issues with that. But go ahead and go down to codes. And then I'm going to choose the first one, which is the industry codes, NAICS. Click on this. And then it gives you a download option. Let's see. Go ahead and refresh it just in case. Here we go. So from here, you can choose which digit NAICS that you want to display, but I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to healthcare and social assistance. And since I'm looking at zip code data, I really can't drill down. You're not going to get zip code data with the 6-digit NAICS as it gets finer and finer and finer. But I'm going to go ahead and just choose this high level 62. I click on that and it populates down in the selected filters box. And now I'm going to go to geography. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually switch on the option to see the summary levels. And you'll see all of this gray because of what's not available. So you scroll down, and I know I'm looking for zip code data, which is 861. So I'm going to scroll all the way down. There we go, to the 5-digit zip codes and select it. And then from here, I'm going to further scroll. I'm going to further drill down using choosing New Mexico. And then from here, I can kind of walk through, but I want to look for a zip code in Roswell. See if this will come up, and it does, 88203. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to search. And then from here, we see it offers up the county business pattern data for 2019. I'm going to click on this, and you see that the zip code of 88203 is available for the NAICS, and you see the establishments and what's available. There are 40 established units with annual payroll. Some of these are going to give you INS, which basically means that not available, but that's because you're really drilling down far. You can always go back to advanced search. Sometimes, this is always a nice way of just kind of reviewing and going through. You can go through and see that maybe it was a little too ambitious to do that. Maybe I just want to do state and just do New Mexico, and then see if you can go in and drill down a little bit more from there. Looking at your NAICS codes, you could go in and drill down much further. So just giving you some options and what's available and how you see the differences when you're doing filtering.
And I'm just going to give a word of warning that a lot of our NAICS codes in New Mexico, you really can't go down below the 2-digit in some of the rural counties.
Right. No, that's fair for sure. When the data's there, it's great, but when it's not, you definitely always want to go up higher when possible. So, getting the best data is kind of the way to go. So this is just a way to go and look at New Mexico. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about just really quickly was the Microdata Access. So from here, we talked a little bit about if you can't find what you were looking for with those examples, it's because we've tabulated data based on requests. Sometimes it's laws. Sometimes, it's just basic of interest piece, why we've tabulated something the way that we have and made the cuts where we made them. As opposed to this, we have this request for female with income of 40,000 or more in the United States. So let me just give you a quick background on Microdata Access and the biggest difference. The differences, talked a little bit about what's available in Data.Census.Gov. as the pre-tabulated data that's tabulated based on our internal file with our, the full file and against all of our replicate weights. It allows you to drill down lower because, we've had our quality checks against it. And when you're looking at microdata access, this is using our public use microdata file. So some things to make it a little bit more sense with the public use mice. It's just a sample of each survey response. So each line is a survey response, and then you have to put those together and tabulate them yourself to get them. So one of the things is the difference. We have an example at the top of what the tabulated data are for someone's looking for males in 2019 who are web developers using our tabulated data on Data.Census.Gov. You're only going to get the number of males who worked in computer of mathematical occupations, but using the microdata file, you can drill down and find out the number of males in Maryland who are web developers. So it just gives you a different look at that. Just a reminder of public use microdata. They are the individual responses that must be tabulated and weighted by users. Very difficult for some people to do. It requires you to have a programming background and be able to do it. It requires you to have statistical software to be able to do those tabulations, to even have the memory on your computer to download these enormous files. Whereas with the microdata access or the MDAT system that we have really is not new data. It's just taking these PUMS files and it gives you an easy way of creating those estimates. It's just the tool. And public use is just a reminder that it is edited to protect confidentiality and that it's accessible. Like I just said, that it's not a new data release. This is all stuff that's available on the FTP sites, also available on the API, and then MDAT. So just wanted to jump in and show you an example. We talked about females with an income of $40,000 or more in the United States. Looking at the current population table and what's available there, they have these income breakdowns, but they're not what we're looking for. It's more of like a $15,000 breakdown that's just moving. We want something that starts at $40,000 or more. So great opportunity to go in and use Microdata Access or the MDAT tool. So if something is already pre-tabulated, you definitely want to use the pre-tabulated number. You don't want to go in and tabulate, the population or the poverty rate for New Mexico, because that's already been done and it's well established and published. And this is only using a slight. It doesn't include the statistical uncertainty around it. So just be aware of that. All right, from here I'm going to switch over. So we're looking at income by race and sex. I'm going to go ahead and clear, but show you how to get to microdata from here. So when it clicks on microdata, it's not taking you to the PUMS tables, it's taking you to the MDAT system. So click on this button right here. And the first step you go to is you're choosing a data set. So you can choose, there's mainly ACS data, as well as the Puerto Rico sample. And then there's also what we're looking for, the CPS Annual Social and Economic March Supplement. I'm going to choose that, and then I'm going to choose the latest, which is March 2021. I'm going to click Next. Definitely a big difference in then how you're looking at that. So conceptually, you just have to think about things a little bit differently. You're not looking at topics necessarily. You're looking for variables that create tables. So with our variables, we really want to look at, we're looking at the sex variable because we want female, and then we want a person level income. So a couple of things. It's always a great idea to contact the surveys, get a survey dictionary or a data dictionary to know a little bit more. You can kind of try to figure some things out from here. If you look, there ACE_sex is available, 2 values. If you go to the details and click on that, it says male is 1 and 2 is female. That's exactly what we need. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. If you look right up here, it says data cart now has 1. That's perfect. That's what we need. And then it allows you to put in the variable or the label. So we do know the variable is p top val. And if you look, it's the total person's income. You could also have put that in the label. You could even have put in income and then kind of just scroll down and look to see what's the best. But time is of the essence, so I just want to show you some basic things. This gives you a string value that you're going to need to recode, and that's fine because I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm going to click on that. At the top, it gives you a big warning that you're going to have to do a recode, but we're okay with that. So the next, I'm going to select the geographies. Now, for Microdata Access and for the PUMS files, you really get nation and state. And for ACS, you get PUMAs, which are areas of about 100,000 population. But for CPS, you only get nation and state. Now, just know, it doesn't say for nation. Nation is the default. So it's going to default to nation. So click over there. Now I'm going to click back to data cart. And this is where I do my recodes. So I'm going to look at A_sex and look. All I really want is, I don't need the male. So I'm going to uncheck male and just keep female. And I'm done with that. I don't have to create a custom group. I've just edited it within the drop downs here. Now I'm going to go to p_tot_val. And I'm going to go in and create a custom group. I'm going to click on this. And now I'm going to go in and I can use the slider, but I really don't have that kind of stability in my shaking hands now. So I'm going to go ahead and type 39,999. And I'm going to go in and change this to my label to less than 40,000. And then save group. And now I see there's a less than 40,000 and there's the remainder. And I'm going to click over the remainder and put in 40,000 plus. Save group. And then I'm going to go to view table. When I look in for the weighting, it suggests the weighting of a person weight. You can change the weights, but always a good idea. We're trying to offer you up some easier answers to this. And then I'm going to go in and look at the count number, and it's going to pull up and oops, I haven't moved over my side. Oh, okay, here we go. I'm going to go back in variables. We put in the variables. Yep, that's there. Now the data layout. Oh, that's what I missed. I missed the data layout. Okay, went straight to the numbers. So this is where you show what the data, what the table should look like. So in this case, you can go in and move the rows around, adding things that are not on the table or what you want from the variables. If you'd like this in the column, I know we want our recode to definitely be a part of it. So I'm going to move this around a little bit. And you can see there's 40,000 here and some over. I'm going to go ahead and put this one down to rows. It's being stubborn and not working for me. So we'll see what happens. But here's one that just gives 40,000 plus and then less than 40,000. And then you can view table and see for 40,000 plus is about 45 million. So different ways you can look at this. You can always go into download and extract which ways you can copy the bookmark, which is just like the copy and paste to save. And I think the best way to do with an MDAT is to go in and just do some playing with it. I think it's a really great way of doing some data exploration and things that you're looking for. Definitely always been a good way to, if I'm looking for research projects, this is always a great way for me to go in and look at things. So I'm going to clear things out. And then really quickly, I was going to show you those updates if we're still good on time, Susan.
We're still good on time, KaNin.
Okay, good. All right. So all of this I just showed you, we're going to change it. So let me show you what we're doing. So from here, let's clear this out here. Now, I'm going to show you what we're going to release tomorrow. So tomorrow we have a release of those navigational changes that we have. If you look, nothing has changed on the landing page. And just letting you know that, because I know you still have to do that choice of single search or advanced search. So just letting you know. But we had talked about, like, some of our first examples was Carlsbad, Mexico, same thing. But look, definitely a little bit different. The filters are now more exposed. If anyone was a fan of American Fact Finder, it definitely gives me a lot of those vibes, because AFF definitely showed you all of those filters. Everything was available. You saw a lot of baskets and what was things, whereas Data.Census.Gov has been very, in some cases, that stuff is kind of hidden away. And now we're trying to expose it and make it a little bit easier for you. So a little bit of a look and feel, but essentially it's all the same thing that's available. You get an estimate, looks a little bit different, but it's not terribly. On the right-hand side, we've added a map, which is nice, but it's still going to that same profile that we had before. Let me look at the filters that are available and the tables. You look at this filter, you can always click on that and it shows you the filters that are available. So what we've tried to do is, people have said they're not sure how you got that search, that search return. So what we're trying to do is expose that a little bit. Of course, this is a bad example. It's just Carlsbad, New Mexico. But let me go ahead and add a few things.
Oh no, we love Carlsbad.
I do too. It bothers me that California keeps popping up, because that's what I'm looking for. But I meant that we're only showing you one, so it's really hard to show all these filters, and I only did one in the search. So let me pull some topics up. So I pull up topics, and we look at income, kind of the same things that we did before. If you're just looking at poverty, those tables that'll be pulled up, and you can see that these have been added. If you look at the question mark, kind of shows you some decoders of what's available. Something that's pink is a survey, so you can go in to the survey. If we just want to look at American Community Survey, we can do that, or just decennial. If you've noticed, there isn't a lot of that graying out that was there before, and that I think is a blessing. But who knows? It might give people some context. So we're really excited to have this public and see if this really does help people, or if we're hitting, we're going the wrong direction. But different things that you can put in. If you just want maybe 2019 data, all of those things can come in. And so when you go in, and these little filters always, or these little chevrons, close your filters for you and show you now, based on your search, there's only three possible tables. And then it allows you, some people say, I don't want 100 different tables. I want you just to give me a handful but I don't know how to drill down well enough. So that's what we're trying to do a little bit, and showing people, as you exit or change these tables, how things change just by taking out the ACS 5-year subject table. Obviously, you get suddenly a whole lot of new 79 results from the 3, because you're adding the whole suite of 5-year ACS products, and not just limiting it to the subject tables. So looking at this table, S1701, if you look at this table, it's very similar to how the look and feel, how it has been. Really, the only difference is, instead of having this button that says customize the table, we've just exposed the iconography for you. But essentially the same thing. The download is there. the hide buttons, and all of those other things that I just showed you, all available. So just wanted to make sure that the back end necessarily hasn't changed. It's it's more the look and feel and exposing what maybe was being done under the surface. All right, give you one other example. You can go straight to advanced search. One of our other the examples I gave you was looking at Hispanic or Latino, all tracks in San Juan County. So I want to show you, again, the topics are very, very similar. We wanted race and ethnicity, Hispanic or Latino. So I'm going to choose that Hispanic or Latino, and then it populates. Now look at the geography, definitely a little different. We have larger boxes to hit on the most commonly used geographies. So just a handful of them that are available. I know it's not all of them, but it's some of the main ones that people are looking for. And then underneath, it has the full suite. Excuse me. Of all the summary levels that are available. Again, if you know your summary level and don't want to deal with choosing it this way, you're always welcome to switch on, and it'll give you the summary level codes that you can choose from there. For this, we wanted track, I believe. Yep, track in San Juan. So I'm going to choose track and show you how it's going through, go down to New Mexico. And San Juan, there we go. And I'm sorry, this is an internal site, so we don't have as much hardware in the back end. So I'm glad it's coming up as fast as it is. And then from here, we were just looking, oh yeah, all tracks. So click on that, kind of showing you the same thing that's available and how it's being done. And then go through and use the search from there, and it pulls up kind of the same thing. This view all three products, if you click on this, this gives you the different options for the products that are available. You see it more when you're looking at something like ACS data, because you have 5-year. And then, of course, if we were looking at something like New Mexico or something that had 1 year as well, it'd be twice that. But this is what it's trying to quickly help you make some choices to get to the data. So anyway, and then the maps are very, very, very similar to this. You can go and what I showed you, other than the customized, the icons are just out in front and available. We do have something called dimensions, and oh boy, have we been back and forth with this word dimensions. But this is basically that drop down of what do you have of the values of the table. So just be aware of that and making your choices if you're just looking at Hispanic or Latino, but all the same thing. The base layers and availability of the different tables that you can kind of switch and move through, and even choosing the different years. Okay, with that, I know I showed you a lot of stuff, and give you a chance to ask some questions, or if there's anything in the chat. And while we're doing that, I'll definitely show you where you can get some more information other than sending us emails. But do we have anything in the chat we should address really quickly?
I think we actually took care of most stuff in the chat, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm so glad we got to see a preview of what's going to happen tomorrow. Because
exactly.
If I'd gone there by myself and then just suddenly saw it changed, I would have freaked out.
I know, and that's the that's the good and the bad of agile software development is we know it's coming, but if something happens or something wasn't working, they might not do it, and so we knew it was kind of coming, but not exactly sure when the date was. I personally am very happy I don't have presentation tomorrow, because that's it's a lot of in between. So but definitely, if anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to help you. When you start playing with it, it's very, very similar to what it was. It's more of just kind of conceptually just being aware of the differences. But really quickly, let me just show you on this main site. If you go to this help button on the landing page, this goes to our resource page where we spend a lot of time putting together PDFs and other materials, videos. We'll have a video out tomorrow to show you those navigational changes. So here's an example, a little GIF that we've included to just show you what's going to be available. And then all kinds of redistricting information. And then you're always welcome to contact us directly. Well, there's two things. Sorry. One is an email update. We actually, as we're having those changes, if you're interested in kind of being the first to know, we have a newsletter out that's going out tomorrow. We saved it for a day, a monthly newsletter, so we can show you all those changes. So please sign up for that if you're interested. And please just contact us if you have any questions. We've been at sudside.feedback@census.gov. We still are, but we have a new address that you can use too. That's a little easier at census.data@census.gov. But we're all eager to help you. We don't want anyone to feel left out in the cold and not knowing what to do. So please let us know if you have any other questions.
So our own Beaver developer wants to know, where are your servers? That map is so performat, and he's saying its performance is so good even down to the block level, because we've been doing some work with that.
Yeah, no, our servers are on site, mainly in Bowie, and we just have a ton of hardware behind it and a lot of people in geography putting them together. So yeah, but I appreciate it. Definitely give that good feedback. Thank you.
And I'm not seeing any other questions.
Okay.
If anybody has anything, I'm just so glad that we got to see that quick look for tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was funny too. I was talking to Barb and I was like, oh no, Susan will definitely email if there's, we don't want to be able to be surprised, but we also, we're trying to let people know it's coming, but not, we'll figure it out, right? But please, if you have any questions, happy to help. And definitely on this main landing page, it gives you, if you'd like to look at it again, it gives you another a look at, I'm just pressing buttons now, sorry. It gives you kind of a GIF of looking through it if you want to check it and see it before the release tomorrow morning. But it should be available by 8 a.m. tomorrow. And, looking forward to hearing from you if you have any other questions.
Oh, we'll definitely have questions.
I think the one thing, KaNin, is that a lot of the changes came from feedback.
Oh, absolutely.
And if people should be feedbacking you if they run into something or if they don't like something, feedback them, let them know that this isn't working and things, feedback is what does it.
Right. And that was kind of the feedback that we were responding to as people saying, I don't understand how the filters work, or I don't understand how this search worked, or, it's not what I thought would be coming back when I, put in my 2 paragraphs in the search, right? And how everyone does things differently, right? So just at least trying to show people, when you say, when you say certain words or and how we distinguish it, and I think that hopefully it'll help a little bit. Like I said, I do like that. It looks like a little bit more like AFF. I thought they had some good information that way. But and I'm looking forward to the landing page. We're still working on the landing page to be a little bit more user friendly. I think we do get a lot of roadblocks of people saying, I don't even know how to start. I'm looking for my block data. I don't know the number. What do I put in there? How do I even get the information I'm looking for? And I really kind of pushing, but we don't want to push something out until we've kind of got it a little bit better. But wanting people to know that it's not just a single search, it's also this advanced search and what that means. Well, no other questions?
I give kudos. I give kudos to the team because I know what you have listened to, and some of it abusive, but I've heard, and I've seen what's just come, and I got a chance to see it earlier, so I think it's come a long way, and I think you're headed down the right track.
Good. I hope it's not 100%. It's not. I really wanted to wait for the landing page to kind of connect both of them and make it an easier way, but until then, at least hopefully this helps a little bit. And we always do love your feedback. That we try as much as we can to really, drive the feedback. And drive the development based on feedback. So definitely looking forward to hearing from you.
Okay. I think the next thing to do is just to mention, thank you, KaNin. You always do such a good job, and I wrote down, I have notes. So the next session will start at 3, and we're going to have Alex Smith from New Mexico Human Services talk to us about what